Hello, everybody. My name is Victor Miranda. I need to talk to you about the Roth IRA, everything you need to know about this retirement strategy. So first off, we've all heard of this. We thought nothing of it, and we think it's such a long ways away that we can contribute later, and we think we will never make it that far, and we should live it up while we're young. Well, you are mistaken. I'm going to tell you a little brief history about it. So the Roth IRA, according to Investopedia.com in year 2020, under Roth IRA by Troy Siegel, she writes that a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account that allows qualified withdrawals on tax-free basis, provided certain conditions are satisfied. So this tax incentivized plan was established in 1997 by a Delaware senator named William Roth. And the reason for this incentivized plan was because they wanted more people to have a reason to retire. And it was a very good reason to retire because they didn't want people to be pretty much growing old, not having anything in retirement, and because that they can't afford their living standards or how they live, and they'll be forced to live in the streets. And that would be a burden on society if the people can't take care of themselves. So that's what this plan was basically established. For contribution limits, you have on the IRS Gov Retirement Topics IRA Contribution Limits website, it states, as of 2020, as of this year, you can put a maximum of $6,000 or $7,000 over the age of 50 per year for your retirement fund. You actually can take out money from this account only for the amount of money you contributed into the account without any penalties or any penalties at all. So you could, if you need to take out the money, you actually physically could. As an example, you put in $25,000, let's say, right, and it grows to $50,000. That $25,000 you can take out at any time, and there'll be no penalties whatsoever. So if you absolutely need the money, you could actually take out that money if you absolutely needed it. So in a dire need of an emergency, you could actually use that money. But if you were to take out the $50,000, that $50,000 would be penalized, and you would be paying taxes on the gains, which would totally contradict the whole reason for doing the Roth IRA. So, and once you take it out, you cannot put it back in. So once you take out the $25,000, maximum $6,000 per year you can invest into this account. So keep that in mind. So let's see some numbers. If you were to invest $90 a week, not even $100, $90 a week, that's $360 per month, $4,320 per year, and you started at, let's say, 20 years old, and you did it for 45 years, so pretty much the age of 65, at a conservative 7% growth. That's pretty low, I'm just saying, but you could do it that's like a broad, index fund. That 7% is what you pick. You can have a $1.33 million in retirement at 65 years old. Now, the difference between waiting 10 years, so instead of doing it at 20, do it at 30. So it's 35 years of having it grow in the market. Everything else the same. Same you contribute per year, same growth rate. The amount of money you would have at 65 years old would be just over $600,000. That is over a $500,000 loss in potential earnings just by waiting 10 years. So that's a big deal. And that's why I highly recommend you start as soon as possible, because it does make a difference. So lifetime contributions, though, I showed in yellow. I just want you to see how much of a difference it makes for putting money that you actually put in versus how much it grows over time. So that's the amount of growth just by leaving it in the market for that long of time. So the longer it's in the market, the more it grows. Traditional versus Roth. In TIA.org website, it compares these two retirement strategies, and the first thing to note when I compared the two, the traditional you must pay taxes on everything that you withdraw. So everything that's in a traditional account, you have to pay taxes when you withdraw it. And you are forced to start withdrawing at 70 and a half years old. But with Roth, everything is tax free. So you can withdraw at 59 and a half, and you can withdraw anytime after that, whenever you want, and it's all tax free. So that's the beauty of the Roth IRA, or the Roth in general. Even our boy Dave Ramsey, he recommends to do the Roth. In his YouTube video, which is called "Why Should I Choose a Roth 401k over a traditional?" he states, when talking to a caller, who he was 33 at the time the caller was, and he says, if you were to put $6,000 into your retirement account at a decent growth stock mutual fund, you will have, in a 30-year time frame, so you 33 to 63, $1.7 million in retirement. In a traditional, everything else the same, 6,000, same growth, but it's in a traditional account, you would only have $1.3 million, because you would have paid taxes on about $400,000 in the retirement account. So that's a difference, and that's why a Roth IRA is highly more effective and more preferred. So these are some places where you can start. You can start at nerdwallet.com. There was an article for Roth IRA rules and how they work and where to begin. It mentions these different places you can open up a Roth IRA account. You can open one at online brokers, at banks, or with robo-advisors. Now, I would not recommend banks because they primarily focus on CDs and they don't really focus on investments. Robo-advisors are pretty good. They give you a good hands-off approach to investing. But I prefer online brokers because I have a more of a hands-on. I feel like I have more control in what I invest into. And that's a couple of examples of places you can go and look more into this. Is Vanguard, Fidelity, You Invest, JP Morgan, and First Trade. So I just want to conclude that you should save as soon as you can. The sooner the better, because it does make a difference. So you should also ask your elders on some advice that they can give you. Like this is what made me start saving money on my own, is because I asked people much older than me, people who are already retired or people who are looking towards retirement, and asking, what's the number one thing that you guys regret? Or what's the one thing that you wish somebody told you when you were my age, you know? And this is something I ask so many people. And the number one thing that they would tell me is, I wish I had saved. I wish I had saved more. Because now I can't retire like as I would want to. I have to work further because I don't have enough money to retire. So that's why it's very important to start now, especially now, because that compound interest will make a huge difference at the end of the line. So I would recommend looking up your Roth IRA calculator online. Use it kind of as a guide to see how much you could potentially save and how much you would need for your own retirement needs. So you just Google Roth IRA calculators online, and they'll give you everything you need to know. So thank you for your time. I hope you learned something new today. So let's all become future millionaires together. Deuces.